Welcome to this edition of Positive Rockdale. I'm Chairman and CEO Richard A. Oden, and Happy New Year to you, and I hope that you and your family have had a tremendous holiday season. You know, this edition of Positive Rockdale, we're going to share some outstanding information with you. I have a person here in the studio with me today by the name of R.J. Hadley. R.J. Hadley is the Tax Commissioner. He took office on January the 2nd of 2013. RJ, good morning to you. How you doing today?
Chairman, good morning. Doing great, and glad to come here and get a chance to meet with you and talk to the viewers, talk to the citizens.
Great. I thought we had met and talked about several things late last year, and one of the things that was on your mind and my mind, and we kind of synergized there, was that as you move through your transition into the office, a new tax commissioner. Dan Ray, I understand you and Dan Ray worked very well together during your transition. Tell me about that transition, if you would.
Sure. And take me forward to today. Well, yes, I was very fortunate. Commissioner Ray was excellent in terms of our transition. We spent a number of time together to go over things. And as a matter of fact, when I took the state mandated training, he was able to come out and visit with me and kind of let me know who the various players were around the state because of his vast knowledge and experience. So it was great.
Great.
Yeah.
Dan is a great guy, and we work together, and that's a lot of work. Most people just think you just is the big bad wolf and tax collector, right? Yeah,
well, since, as you said, starting on January 2nd, I'm generally there. We're pretty much pushing 12-hour days, and that's fine. I'm glad to do that and be there to do the people's work. But and I'm very fortunate to have a great staff, folks that have been doing it a long time and very supportive.
The teamwork and the staff is so important. But there's another team member that's not basically seen or talked about very much, and that's your tax assessor. Tell me how that relationship from the tax assessor to the tax commissioner, tell me how that works a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because, people do come in and say, okay, RJ, Commissioner, they lower my taxes, please. And, I have to let them know that there's other people that's involved in the process. My job is just to collect the taxes. The chairman and the board of commissioners will set that millage rate, but the assessor is the one that sets the valuation for your property values. And that's where I have to send them when they want to appeal values and say, well, I'm being assessed too much on my property and that type of thing.
Yes. Now, to our viewing audience, the tax assessors, Mr. Lamar Sims, and his team of outstanding assessors, we have well over 30,000 properties properties in Rockdale County, both commercial, residential, etc. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the Board of Assessors is Lamar Sims, the chief assessor, does an excellent job, and his team over there is wonderful.
So they go out and they assess these properties. So example here would be, let's say a house at $100,000. Do you assess that property at $100,000, or does he assess the property at $100,000? Is there a 40%? What is that?
Yeah, there's a fair market value that's assessed, but the actual part that you're taxed on is 40% of that value. And when people come in to appeal, they're appealing on what the overall value is, being the fair market value. As some people may say, because of sales in their neighborhood, maybe foreclosures in their neighborhood, they feel that value is too high. They can go to the Board of Assessors and submit an application to be heard.
Viewing audience, and that's an individual thing, because if you're planning on selling your home, then you want the highest possible value possible, so you can get the maximum amount of return on your investment. But if you're not selling your home, and your community has been kind of stable, or in the recent moratorium, which was lifted just last year, matter of fact, after a 3-year moratorium, our state legislators put a moratorium on tax assessors to limit their ability to collect or assess at a certain level. They froze it. So prior to that moratorium, some properties were going to be assessed higher, some was going to remain the same, and some was going to decrease. When the tax assessors across the state of Georgia when that moratorium was lifted off, they simply picked up where they left off. Would that be, I'll be correct?
Yeah, although I'm concerned of some things that I'm hearing now that the session has begun, that there's talk of, you know, placing a cap on what our assessors can do in terms of, now that that moratorium has been lifted, and placing a cap on how far that they can raise those things. So that's going to really have an impact on you know, county budgets around the state.
Absolutely correct, Mr. Hadley, Tax Commissioner. If the state, I've heard this rumor too, as the state legislators, and I want to encourage people, the viewing audience, to pay attention to what is going on here over the next, through March or April in the state representative, because those are what I call unfunded mandates. The counties and the cities have to set the millage rate. The millage rate is how we collect dollars or taxes to run the county operations, the fire services, the police services, the road transportation, sanitation, all parks and recreation, health and human services, all those services the county must provide to their constituency. So the assessment allows the county commissioners and the city managers or the mayors to take that dollar value from the tax assessment that we receive from the tax commissioner's office, and we, the commissioners or the mayors or the council, they then set in place the millage rate. That millage rate is the dollar value of all those homes. So therefore, if the state legislators put a cap, a 3% cap or 1% cap on what a tax assessor can assess, that means it's just will be chaos and confusion, which means the unfunded mandate means that the county must find ways, the city must find ways to keep the same level of revenues. So what eventually happens in those scenarios, that the bad word, taxes have to be increased. That's a bad word. So that's the kind of position your state representatives in this session will begin to vote upon, and I encourage each and every citizen to contact your local delegation, your local state representative, and your local state senator, and ask that state senator and ask that House representative to say no to this amendment to that tax on the freeze on the tax assessor. It's not a good law to enforce in these times, at this time in history. It's just not a good deal. So
yeah, and I agree that it's something that citizens should just keep aware of and be in touch with their state legislators, which is why we're great that we have vehicles such as this to inform the public. And that's one of the things that really, since we got in the door, even before we got in the door, the county has been supporting my office in this Get Ready campaign to get the citizens ready for March 1st and the new way that cars are going to be taxed in Rockdale County.
So that's
across the state.
That's interesting, Tax Commissioner Hadley, because now what you're leading into here is there's another mandate coming down the pipe. And I can't tell you, all these mandates take place in the state. And then what happens here, viewing audience, is that Mr. Tax Commissioner becomes the bad guy, because he's got to get these numbers to me, and then I become a bad guy, and my colleagues, Commissioner Van Ness and Commissioner Nesbitt, in this scenario, and we have to decide whether we're going to raise the millage rate or not, which in turn makes you, our viewing audience, unhappy and mad at us because we have to raise taxes. But the process begins at the state level. But he mentioned March 1st. And he's being very proactive. We started this campaign back in December, before he even took office. So you need to know this, viewing audience, because what is getting ready to happen here on March the 1st? The birthday, tell me about the Avalon taxes and what happens.
Sure. Well, so the current ad valorem system, as we know it, the birthday tax, requires people to come in each year. Well, with HB 386 that was passed last year, now we will see the end of sales tax and the annual birthday tax as we know it going forward. And this will begin March 1st. And so what we began really at the end of December was a Get Ready campaign, and you'll see that if you come in to visit me at 969 Pine Street, as we begin to tell people to get ready for March 1st, because in March 1st, you will then, if you purchase a vehicle from March 1st going forward, you will pay a one-time, what they call title ad valorem tax. And why this is so important is because it may catch some people who are dealing with casual sales off guard. So, for instance, you purchased a vehicle from a family member for $500. You're used to going down to the office. You're going to pay your tag fee and your title fee, $18, $20, and you pick up the ad valorem later. Well, under the new HB 386 law, you have to pay your one-time title ad valorem tax at that time. It's going to be 6.5% of the value of your vehicle. And the value of your vehicle, Chairman, is not set by you and by what you purchase it for. The value will be set by the state. They determine a fair market value for your vehicle. So it may, and I believe it will, catch some residents off guard going after March 1st.
You know, it's very interesting to say because I have two daughters, and my daughters are in college, excuse me, and my youngest daughter, my 21-year-old daughter, is doing an internship. So she has the vehicle. I've got it, it's in my name.
Okay.
Now she's 21. I'm going to transfer that vehicle to my 21-year-old daughter. So and her birthday is not until June. So in June, I mean, when she graduates and I transfer that car into her name, that means the state, as I heard you say, is going to assess a value of 6.5%. They set that value, not me. 6.5. Whatever the value of that car is, they put on. It's $4,000.
Well, let me stop you there because you're talking about something that I also want to inform the public about, which is an immediate family transfer.
Okay, immediate family transfer. There's a lot of that out there.
You can transfer to children. You can transfer to your spouse. You can transfer to siblings, even grandparents, and they consider that to be an immediate family transfer. Now, if you are not subject to the tax, for instance, you bought your vehicle in 2010. And you've been paying your birthday tax, basically that person will have the option to continue on the current system and pay every year, or they can go ahead, pay the title ad valorem tax, and then they will be in the system. So at that point, you'll have an option for a car that was not subject to it. But if you were to purchase a vehicle after March 1st, there is no option. Okay.
Great.
Okay.
That's important to our viewing audience to know because there are probably a lot of parents out there just like myself where I have the car in my name and my daughter needs that transportation. So as you just stated, Mr. Hadley, is that that's immediate family transfer. Should I put that in her name?
Right. And
she can choose an option to either maintain every July when her birthday comes up to pay that out for a duration of time. Is there a time limit, or she can stay on that plan?
No, and that's another good point. People who are currently not subject to the one-time tax will continue to come and do their birthday tax and do their annual payment. What the legislation hope is that over time, people will eventually buy new cars or roll off, and then most will fall under the one-time tax.
Okay. Now, my 20-year-old daughter, who was a rising senior, got one graduating, one rising. I've got to get her a car, so I'm going to buy that car. I'm going to buy car X for X price. I'm going to pay the sales tax on that car. Do I have to pay not only the car price, the sales tax, do I have to pay the ad valorem price at the same time?
If you're going to purchase that vehicle after March 1st, you won't pay any sales tax. You will pay
sales tax.
You will pay the one-time title ad valorem tax. 6.5% for now. But now when you go to transfer that to your daughter, she will still have to pay, it's something small, but it's 1/2 of 1%. Because you have already paid the title ad valorem tax, but it's not a free transfer. They're still going to get 1/2 of 1% for the immediate family transfer.
And I want to raise that question, viewing audience, because I had this confusion in my head too. Paying the sales tax on a $20,000 vehicle is a substantial amount of sales tax, 7%. Some communities 8%, depending on if you have host or SPLOS or LOS, which is local option sales tax, homestead option sales tax, or special purpose local option sales tax. Those are taxes, those are self-imposed taxes by counties. So whatever your county is, you're paying an extra penny on top of whatever that might be. Now, the sales tax on that, let's say I'm paying $3,000 in sales taxes on a $30,000 vehicle, $33,000 vehicle. Then at that point in time there, that sales tax go away on the used vehicles. Is that correct? Not new.
On all vehicles.
On all vehicles.
The sales tax.
Go
again,
away.
If you purchased, and this leads us into when you purchased the vehicle. Now, let's say you purchased that vehicle last year. Anybody who purchased a vehicle from January 1st, 2012, all the way up to the end of February of this year, you will have the option to take that sales tax and any ad valorem that you've paid and subtract it from the one-time fee. And if there's any money left over, you pay the remaining amount, and then you're done. You no longer have to pay any ad valorem tax. So it's a one-time option to allow those who bought vehicles in 2012 and for January and February of 2013 to at least take that sales tax that they paid and apply it to the new one-time tax.
Okay. Now, to our viewing audience, now the ad valorem tax goes away. So every year you still got to go and do some due diligence. You still got a tag fee.
You're still going to pay your $20 tag fee, yes.
Okay. And those of us who have what they call prestige tags, tell us about that scenario.
Again, that you will still pay your, I believe for prestige tags, it's $55 every year. So those things won't go away.
Those things will not go away.
No.
So what? Go ahead, sir. Excuse me.
No, I was just going to say you'll pay that fee. You'll still pay a title fee if you want to title the vehicle. So what will go away is that once you've paid those initial fees and the ongoing tag fees, there won't be any additional ad valorem tax to pay each year, a so-called birthday tax.
Now here's what's really kind of is need to keep out on the audience, because once you're paying your fee for your tag, $25, whatever that might be, and if you have a prestige tag, that number there, at what point does the state now comes back and says, hey, I'm not generating enough revenues here because I took away those ad valorem taxes one time? How do they, the state, your state legislators and your state senators who makes this decision, how do they figure or calculate how to consistently maintain the stream of revenues?
Well, in the legislation, it was set that 2012 was the baseline that for the state to say, okay, Rockdale County, this is what you received in 2012, and this is what we're going to maintain over the process of this legislation. So, right now, when you start from March 1st, the tax will be 6.5%.
6.5%.
Okay. Then when you get to January of 2014, it'll go up to 6.75%. Okay. Then when you get to 2015, it will go up to 7%. Now, in the legislation, at that point, there'll be an assessment to see, is this generating enough? Like each year, there's a process to see, are we generating enough to meet that 2012 baseline? And if not, it's built into the legislation that rate can go up. It can't go any higher, but it could possibly go up to 9%. But 9% is the hard cap that's currently set into the legislation.
So I want our viewing audience to please, ma'am, please, sir, please pay attention to this process, because I don't want you to hit 2014 and you go down there thinking you're going to be paying 6.5% and you end up paying 6.75%. That's an additional 0.25%. Okay, and then in the following year it goes up another 0.25% to 7%. Which at this time they say they cap out or max out at 9%. Well, maybe we need to have a moment here, because a 9% tax increase on your automobile is far greater than the 7% sales tax you're paying now. So I want our viewing audience to be educated and be informed as to what is going on down at the state. Look here, Rockdale family. Don't go to sleep on this, because that's just one of the things happening down in the state. Pay attention to what is going on, because the state representatives, I love them. They put mayors and commissioners and county councilmen into uncomfortable positions with unfunded mandates, and we'll be fighting that down to the state capitol, so I want you to be aware of that. RJ, this has been incredible information. So is there anything else you want to share with us with regards to this Avalon tax, and how can people contact you to get questions, or do you have a question and answer brochure or anything? Yes,
I want to let people know that they can go and get fully informed on this new one-time tax coming up March 1st if they go to this website. Go to www.newtitletax.com. And you will find lots of information there. There are calculators there where they can actually put in the VIN number of their vehicle, and they can see what the valuation would be. They can see what the tax would be. Under the old system, they can make comparisons. So there's a lot of information if they go to newtitletax.com. You're also welcome to come and visit us at the Tax Commissioner's office at 969 Pine Street here in Conyers, as our clerks actually just completed training, and we will continue ongoing training right on up to March 1st, so we can help you there. And you can also just give us a call at the Tax Commissioner's office at 770-278-7600.
You know, RJ, I want to thank you again today.
Thanks for having me.
And I get really excited when I start talking about how to save money and how to provide information to the citizens of Rockdale County so that we become and continue to become a very informed voter and a very informed citizen. Because when you're informed and when you have information and knowledge, then that makes you a little bit more powerful. What I do not want to happen is that people getting the wrong information and spreading the wrong information and bombarding the tax commissioner's office with a bunch of negativity and naysaying. Because we're working to be proactive here to give you information so that you can take a proactive approach and plan how to go forward. So, RJ, you have any closing remarks you want to say?
Well, actually, based on what you just said, I think it's fair to just let the citizens know that the Tax Commissioner's office is there to serve you, and we are mandated by the state to do this. This is not a Rockdale County thing. This isn't Commissioner Hadley forcing this upon you. This is a mandate that every county and every tax commissioner must comply with by state law. And here in Rockdale County, we're going to do that job. And actually, we have been really at the forefront with our Get Ready campaign and getting our community ready, and our public service announcements and our email blasts and things like that we've been sending to the state. So just know that we're here to support you and help you. But it's not coming from me. I'm just doing what the state has mandated me to do.
So you're the messenger.
I'm the messenger.
So don't kill the messenger.
Please.
Okay. You know, RJ, thank you so very much, and I'm really so excited about what you have shared with us here today on Positively Rockdale. And particularly, I know you started in December with the Get Ready campaign to inform the citizens of Rockdale County and anyone of HB 386, which is going to have a dramatic impact. So, Rockdale County, get yourself prepared. And if RJ, if you would get that website again one more time,
yes,
we would appreciate that.
That will be www.newtitletax.com. That's www.newtitletax.com. And we'll be getting around in the community to continue to spread the Get Ready message. And some people have reached out to me in their various groups and organizations, and if you would like me to come and talk to you further about this, specifically to your group or organization, give me a call, and we can try to get you on a calendar to do that.
Well, RJ, I want to say thank you, and we will have a homeowners association meeting coming up here in the next, and I believe in March. And so I want to invite you, our viewing audience, to come and listen to the information and get information as we go forward. That will be posted as well from our Community Affairs and Innovative Programs Department. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're watching Positively Rockdale, and we want to thank you for your viewing eyes and your listening ear. And I can say this to you, Rockdale County, a perfectly positioned community with a rock-solid approach dedicated to excellence in customer service and quality of life and global economic development. And I tell you, we'll see you next time. Later. Peace.